the process right now. So part number 2, how to close 80% of your prospects. I want you to answer in the chat box right now. This is going to be a lot more interactive. So I need you guys to be like in with me here. All right. I'm going to take a little sip of my coffee that's freezing cold now, but this is going to be a little more interactive. I need you guys in with me. I want you to, how do you close 80% of your prospects? Do you guys think that that's possible? If you think no, if you think it's totally BS, say it. If you think it's possible, then say yes. 80% of people going from cold to closed. Do you think that's going to happen? Yes or no? Write it in the box. Alex says BS. I love it. I like that. Okay, so Alex, I want you to stick with me. There's some other people here that said no as well. If you said no, make sure you stick with me, because at the end, Jerry said BS as well. A couple other people said, if you think it's BS, Alan said doubtful. Please stick with me to the end of this. I'm not going to try to sell you anything or anything. I'm going to ask you to say no to me, and I'm going to ask you to like not buy what I'm fictionally selling here. And I want you to give me a valid reason as to why you wouldn't buy it. Okay. So if it's BS, Tony, who says 80% is pretty high, I want you to give me a valid reason as to why you wouldn't buy this fictional product that we're going to create in part number 2. All right. Not trying to sell you anything. I'm just showing you a fictional product, and I want you to give me a valid reason as to why you wouldn't buy it. Okay. Number 1, how to close 80% of the people that you talk to. A qualified prospect, okay, write this down. This is vital. Write this down. A qualified prospect is somebody who has a want, need, or desire in the product that you're offering. They already know they need it, okay? This is the guy with the hole in the roof. There's water coming through it, and you're a roofer, all right? He's got a hole in the roof. He needs the freaking thing fixed, okay? He needs it. He wants it. He desires it. And he already knows he needs it, okay? Now, you might want to take another note of this, so write this down. This is important as well. He knows that he needs the service. He's not sold on you, though, okay? He needs the roof, but he doesn't know what roofer he's going to use. Very important to understand that. Want, need, desire. Number 1 in a qualified prospect. Number 2, authority. How many people here have sold something and they heard, got to talk to my wife first, got to talk to my partner first, got to talk to my husband, got to talk to my accountant, got to talk to my lawyer, got to talk to... We got to read the Bible 6 times. Whatever they say, how many people have heard that? That's a prospecting issue, not a sales issue. Okay? The reason why you're hearing that is they do not have the authority to say yes or no. So qualified prospect, number 1, they have a want, need, a desire for what it is you're offering, and they know it. Number 2, they have authority to say yes or no to you right now. Number 3, they have the ability to pay you. Somebody just said, somebody said something about affordability, and I didn't mention it because this is coming up. This ability is affordability. Guy has a hole in the roof, right? Knows he has a hole in the roof. Number 2, he's a single guy who lives by himself. So he has the authority to say yes or no. He just got an insurance check for 10 grand to fix the roof. You come knocking at the door. That's a qualified prospect. Okay. Now, this is just part number 1 of part number 2. I know that sounds weird, but a qualified prospect, want, need, desire, ability, and authority. They know they need it. They already want it. They already need it. They already desire it, and they know it. Okay. They have the authority to say yes or no to you right now, and they can afford it. They have the money to pay you. Before I said, I don't work with a lot of small businesses because the pizza place and the Chinese food restaurant and all that other place, they can't afford the $10,500 that I sell. Why am I going to pitch them when they're going to tell me they can't afford it? They don't make 10 grand a month in revenue. Why would I even walk in their office? I know they're not a qualified prospect. They don't have the ability to make a payment. Okay. If you're trying to sell stuff on the internet to people that don't have credit cards or a PayPal account, you're never going to sell stuff no matter how good you are. All right. If you're a car salesman, you can be the best car salesman in the world. If you're selling to people who just bought a brand new car, you're not going to sell any cars because they don't have a want, need, desire. They don't have the authority. They don't have the ability. One of those things is missing. Okay. Now, we give them the money to pay us. That's the way this works. And I'm going to show you that in a second. Part number 2 of part number 2 is experience and status. 2 things. People buy, someone just asked me this on Facebook. Why do people buy stuff? They buy stuff because it increases their experience in life and or it increases their status. Okay. Why does somebody go from 100 grand a year to 115 grand a year, go out and buy a BMW? Why do they do that? Does the BMW drive any different than the Honda? Does it get to work any different? No. They do it because it's a better experience in life. And more importantly, to most people, they drive up to their friend's house. Ooh, look at the new car you got, right? I used to sell cars. My best close in the car business was this. What do you think your neighbor's going to think when you pull up to your house in a brand new car with a big red bow on it? I'm selling status, right? I'm saying, what is everyone else going to think of you? Why do you think everyone's so anxious and depressed? Because they're so worried about what everyone thinks of them, right? We sell based on experience and status to qualified prospects. They want it. They can afford it. They have the ability to say yes or no. It increases their experience. It increases their status. You ask them for the order and they buy it every time. That's the way it works if you do it the right way. All right. And they buy every time. I didn't even know that was on there. Okay. So I want you to think about this logically. And all the people that said no, BS, I want you, this is where I need you. Okay. This is where I need you right now. Think about this logically. They already know they need the product or service. Number one, they already have the money. Number two, they are the decision maker. Okay. The product or service makes their life better or easier. And the product or service makes them or their company or their marriage or their house or whatever more valuable. Give me a reason why they'd say no. Go ahead. All the BSers in there. Go ahead. 80% is impossible. Tell me why you'd say no to that. Make a fictional product, right? You have a hole in the roof, like we talked about. You need your roof fixed. You got a hole in it. There's water coming in your house. You need your roof fixed, right? You have the money. The insurance company sent you a $10,000 check. The roof's going to cost $6 grand. You have the money. Okay. You're the decision maker, right? You could say yes or no right now. The product or service makes their life better or easier, right? So the water's going to stop coming in your house and it makes your home more valuable. What's the objection? Alan says trust. That's a good one. Trust is built through rapport. How do you build rapport with somebody, Alan? Alan said again, they don't trust you. How do you build rapport with someone? Go ahead, type it in. Any more BSers that think that 80% is BS? Jerry, you spent all your savings. Doesn't matter. I don't want your savings. The only thing that I want is the homeowner's insurance check that you got. And I don't even want it all, Jerry. You got a $10,000 check for your homeowner's insurance. I'm going to make this roof look like it's brand new. In 2 days, the house is going to look better than when I came. And all I want is 6 out of the 10. You keep the other 4. We'll keep it under the table. We won't tell anybody. How does that sound? Okay. I think my point was more finding just prospects like this is impossible. You need to find them. Finding them is easy. Finding them is easy, right? Let's break down my consulting company. Okay. I charge $10,000 a month. What do they need? More money. What was the first thing I talked about in this? I'm going to get back to you in a second, Alan. What is this? What is the first thing I asked when we started this? What's the one thing that everybody needs? More revenue, right? Every business in the world wants more money. The only thing that Amazon and your local bakery have in common is that they both want to grow. That's it, right? So I know they want, need, or desire more money. Okay. I could find out who the decision maker is, president of the company, founder of the company, whatever. If it's Joe and John's pizza place, I got to meet with both Joe and John at the same time. Authority is there. If they make $10 million a year in revenue, I said 10, 100, 10, right? 10 million in revenue, 100 employees, 10 years of business. Why? That creates ability to pay. I didn't tell any of you guys this. I was just telling you my criteria, but this is why I have the criteria. Because that is what defines a qualified prospect for what it is that I do. Okay, so it's easy to find if you know what to look for. Right? In one of my other programs, in the coaching that I do, I walk people through this exercise. Who is your qualified prospect? Write it down. Who are they? And we got to go get them. Alan, how do you, I was answering your thing there. Social proof. No, it's not social proof. The way that you build trust, the way that you build rapport with someone is you're freaking on point with them. That's the way you do it. Okay. I always tell this story. I had a guy come down to my house and cut down some trees, and I got a couple estimates done. And one guy was like, yeah, you know, those trees over there. Okay, fine. It's going to be like $1,000. Next guy comes in. He's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that one's going to be about 800. I could do it in like next week or whatever. The third guy comes in. He's in a polo with the logo on, slacks. He has a freaking laser pointer. He's mapping out my yard. He said that branch there with a laser point. That branch. We'll cut that one off there. $1,275, and I'll have it done by May 1st. That's the guy that got hired. Why? Because he was freaking on point. He knew what he was doing. That's the way you build rapport. You guys all like to talk about fishing and golf and, oh, my kid went to that college and, oh, I have family over in that state. That doesn't build rapport. That wastes time. If you call the president of the United States, call Donald Trump, you think he's going to start, oh, let's build rapport with Vladimir Putin and let's talk about Moscow and the weather. No. It's like, Vlad, dude, what's going on? We're blowing each other up. We're shooting down planes. What's going on? Get right to business. You got to be on point. That's how you build rapport. That's how you build trust. And that is exactly how you close up to 80% of your prospects on the first contact. Okay? You carve out the right set of prospects to talk to. 95% of sales issues are not sales issues. They're prospecting issues. If you hear, I don't have enough money, prospecting issue. Got to talk to my partner, prospecting issue. Got to talk to my wife, prospecting issue. I don't need this, prospecting issue. Those are not rebuttals. You should objections you should be rebutting in a rebuttal sequence. Not rebuttals. That's not what you need to handle. That's a prospecting deal. So maybe you feel like you won't be able to prospect or sell, right? A lot of people are saying, well, actually one person said, how do we find them or whatever? Well, you're going to get 2 live Q&A sessions with me, plus a Facebook group. So you'll be able to ask me every single question that you want, and I'm going to answer them all personally. And remember, I'm on the phone every day. So when you come in that Facebook group or one of the live Q&A sessions, which we don't have scheduled out yet, so I don't know when they're going to be. Soon, though. But when we have those live Q&A sessions, you're like, hey, I can't get through the secretary. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it, right? Or everyone's saying they don't have enough money. I'm going to tell you how to get over that. Or they're saying they don't trust me, like Alan said, which no one will ever say that. But if somebody says that, well, I can teach you how to get over it. It's very easy, okay? You don't trust me? Let's go back to the beginning. Let me tell you about my life story, right? My name is Kenny. I grew up here. That's usually how I like to do it. I like to mock them and then say something like, come on, really. The issue is not that you don't trust me. The issue is not that you don't want the product. The issue is not that you don't need it. The issue is not that you don't have the money. The issue is whatever the real issue is. And then we overcome the real issue because trust is usually a BS excuse. All right, so what you're getting, 6 weeks of intensive training, $997 value, 2 live Q&A calls with me to answer all your questions about sales, hiring and training your salespeople, call center script, step-by-step results-based consulting process, appointment machine, which is a bonus. That number is wrong. It's not a $1,997 value. It's selling for $1,000 right now, so that number is a mistype. High response call email, cold emailing system. That's Lee's program for $1,000. He's currently selling that for $1,000 and you get that for free. 6 months of mentoring. That's a $3,000 program. 2 live Q&A sessions with me, plus a Facebook group for $1,000. Coaching call with us. If you're one of the first 5 people, total value, $12,970. You can go to links.successwithluther.com/offline consulting, or you can click the button on the side of the screen that should have been up there for a little bit. You can use the bill me later option if you have the credit for it. You live in the United States. It's awesome. It's no payments for 6 months, no interest for 6 months, I believe as well. If you don't have that option available to you, whether you're not in the US or you can't get approved for it or whatever, you can use the $297 option. That's a 2-pay option. Or again, you can, I hate to use this term because I know there's ladies in the room, but you can man the F up and you could just pay the $500 because again, it's going to come back to you anyway. And you're going to spend the money anyway, regardless of what it is. You're going to spend it, right? So you might as well spend it on something that's going to improve your life. All right, let's bring in Luther and or Lee to take some questions.
Hey, you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, very good. Hey, that was a great presentation. Okay.
Thanks, man.
It's amazing, man. Actually, the opportunity that's presented there is incredible. Incredible. Particularly because, hey, getting 8 out of 10 calls that you make, or emails that you send, it's really a no-brainer. Lee, you still with us? I guess not. Questions. I have 2 questions that I wrote down that I seen come through while you were chatting there, Kenny. And, first one is, what are we going to sell? That was the question that was presented.
Okay, that's an excellent question. All right. And the answer to that question is very simple. Regardless of what you provide, I'm talking about business to business, right? Regardless of what you provide, you always sell the benefit of what it is. So I sell SEO all the time. I bashed it in the beginning. I sell SEO all the time, but I will never walk into somebody's office and talk about, Penguin and Panda and backlinks and all that other stuff. What I'm talking about is bringing more money into the business, whether I'm providing SEO, Facebook ads, web design, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I'm always I'm selling the benefit and providing whatever it is that I'm going to provide. And that's really the answer to everything. I think Chet Holmes said it. Sell the benefit of the thing. Don't sell the thing. Provide the thing. Sell the benefit.
Right. That's right. Yeah. When I was selling restaurant clients, I don't say, hey, I'm going to, get you in the top #1 spot. I mean, it really doesn't mean anything. I'm going to get butts into the door. I'm going to get them to sit down in the chair, and they're going to come at dinner time, and they're going to buy your most expensive items.
Right.
That right there is enough for a restaurant owner to say, okay, let's try this. It's not, oh, great, I'm going to be on the first page of Google, or, oh, my meta tags are optimized. Like, nobody cares. You sell the benefits, not the features.
Right. And I would think, too, like I sell a lot of SEO, but I outsource it. So I just give it to somebody else. They do all the follow-up calls and everything. I would think that would be the worst client to have. Like the guy who just wants to be #1. That would be a nightmare because they rarely get there, I would think, right?
No, it's not easy. And it's not cheap either. So
right.
Are they going to be able to invest, $5-10 grand a month and get the #1 spot? Okay, great. But if you're getting that traffic to their site and they're not getting, reservations or takeout orders or some, revenue centric thing, then no, it's ridiculous. Very good. Second question. And I'm sorry, I did not write the name for this question or the other one. So my apologies, guys. But they want to know if they get everything all at once. You get access to the whole product. I guess that means, is it a drip fed product?
That's a good question. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. You have to ask Lee.
Oh, we'll wait for Lee to come back around.
Yeah, he's here. He's typing in the chat box, so he might not be able to hear us.
I see. So Lee's information overload right now.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how to do any of the membership site stuff or any of that. So I honestly don't know, or else I'd tell you. But he does all that. When he comes back, he'll let you.
Okay. So we have a bunch of questions stream in. So let's grab them here. Let's talk about Tony. No, not Tony. Tony did not have a question. Jen has a question. Is how fast do you think you can get your money back, and what time is the commitment to make that first buck? So when do you turn this over? How soon can it be turned over?
It depends on how quickly you want to get started prospecting.
Right.
I mean, listen, if I wanted to, I could get off this call right now and have a deal by 4:15. It's 3:30.
Yeah, I could do 100 calls between now and 5 o'clock, easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's really not that. But again, I've been doing this for 20 years, not selling this thing, but I've been selling on the telephone for 20 years, and I know how to do it very, very well. So there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I mean, like I said in the beginning, I could teach you how to do it in 20 minutes. You can become an expert in 5 hours. If you make 100 calls an hour, it's 500 calls. So I could teach you how to do it in 20 minutes. You could become an expert in 500 calls. And after that, you can prospect and close deals like crazy. My first 1,000 calls, I was selling cell phones when I was 15. Terrible. After the 1,000 calls, I just hit it and I never lost it. Yeah. So it takes a little bit of time to get it. But if you're making 20 calls a day, that's going to take you longer. Right? So it really depends on how hard you want to hit it.
It is true. It is true. Because you can get, let's say, what'd you say it was? 8 out of 10.
Right.
If you just keep pounding away at it, eventually you hit that number. It's just persistence. It's what a lot of people struggle with, is that they do not persist. They stop after a while, particularly if they don't get any replies or any indicator of success. They just give up. And it's usually within like a couple of days.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why we included the 6 months. And that's for everybody, by the way, the 6 months of email support and coaching and stuff, because we want you guys to, and really with whatever, like, I don't even care if it's something else, right? You're doing one of other Luther's programs or whatever. You're doing something else. If you have a problem, just stick with it and reach out to somebody. Successful people want to help other people that want to be successful. I mean, it's just that simple. So reach out to someone and ask for help if you're having problems or whatever. And sticking with it, like Luther said, is the #1 problem.
Right. All right. Any other questions? Tony asked a question. Will your outsourcer names be in the membership area? That's a question.
No, absolutely not. That's crazy. Listen, my people work for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, Tony, listen, with all due respect, for $500, I'm not giving my employees out. If they have extra hours, they're gonna sell for me. Why would I let them sell for you? If they're selling for you, then they could be closing for me. For 500, it doesn't make any sense for me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just being honest with you, man. Listen.
Okay. Let's see what else we got. Questions here. Gordon, as a real estate agent, I can see using the principles outlined in the webinar. I'm not sure how we would benefit with the whole course if all we need to do is confirm their wants, authority, ability, and firm things up with experience. Can you tell me more? And would you like me to repeat the question, Kenny?
No, it's okay. As a real estate agent, I can see using the principles outlined in the webinar. Not sure how we would benefit with the whole course if we need to. Okay, so as a real estate agent, Gordon, who wants your services? That's number one. This is what I would tell you to do, right? And this has nothing to do with the training, but I'm just trying to help you out. This is what I would tell you to do. Who wants a real estate agent service? That's step number one. Number two, when can you get in front of those people that want it? When the husband and wife are both there, right? So if you're, Gordon, if you're prospecting for real estate, I'm assuming that you're looking for listings, right? So if you're prospecting for listings at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, husband or wife, probably both not in the house. That's a problem, right? You got to be there on Saturday mornings. You got to be there at 7 o'clock at night. That's when they're both there. So that's when the authority is established. I'm not too worried about ability as far as payment goes because you get a commission after the deal's done. So that's not really that big of a deal. The first two are really big. Then when ability comes in, you have to convince them that you're worth the 3%. That's where the ability comes in. You have to be able to convince them that you're worth the 3%. And that's more of a sales issue than a prospecting issue. I could definitely help you with that. I work with a lot of real estate agents. But, as far as want and authority goes, those are the two, right? Who wants it? And when can I get in front of both of them? And then I'd also ask you, where do they congregate, right? Where do they hang out? Where do the people that want my thing get together? Because they always get together somewhere. There's a reason why Dave Ramsey goes from church to church to church to church to church, selling his Financial Peace University. Because that's where all his prospects hang out. I mean, listen, I don't want to knock the guy. Maybe he's really religious. Maybe but he's there because that's where his prospects are. I mean, let's be real with it, right? So you got to do the same thing, man. You got to find out where your prospects are and you got to get there. I'm going to take Jen's question as well.
Yeah,
what's a realistic expectation for someone who doesn't know how to sell? Okay, I have a very controversial view on this, but it's the truth, so I'm going to say it anyway. Every person on planet Earth is a born salesperson. Every person. I don't have to teach you how to sell. Nobody does. What somebody, whether it's me, Luther, or somebody else, has to teach you how to do is transition your ability, natural ability to sell into a business environment. Okay. Now, let me give you an example of this. You probably like to read or watch movies or whatever, right? You're not a salesperson. You admitted it. You don't know how to sell. You probably like to read, watch movies. Maybe you go out to eat. If you knew that I loved horror movies and you just watched a horror movie, the second you saw me, you would say, oh, you got to see this movie. You got to check this out. It was great. You'd love it. I know you love horror movies. You got to check it out. What are you doing? You're doing the same thing I'm doing here. Your problem is that you don't know how to transition that natural ability, which we all have, into a business environment. Once you learn how to transition that, you can sell anything. It doesn't make a difference what it is. And the number one thing, Jen, is this. Most people, they can't transition it because they don't believe in what they're doing. That's really what it comes down to. Now, when you get to a certain level, you don't have to believe in what you're doing. Not saying you could sell garbage because you can't. But I don't know anything about alarm systems, and I sell them once a week. I have a friend in Connecticut who owns one of the biggest alarm companies in the country, and I'm on his dialer all the time. I don't know anything about what he sells, but I could pick up a script, and I can read it in tone, in pace, and I can close deals. But when you get to that level, you can do whatever you want. But first, the first step is transitioning your natural ability to sell into a business environment. And, you want more proof of that? Go on Facebook and look at all the political stuff. None of those people are salespeople, but they're always trying to convince you that they're right, you're wrong, they're smart, you're stupid. We have a natural ability to pull people on our side and make them believe what we believe to be true. That's built into us as humans. We just have to transition that into business. Once we do that, we're out of the gate and running like crazy.
And the persuasion equation. It's all about persuading people. And you persuaded, I like to tell people, some of my students too, that in high school, you were a salesman or a saleswoman trying to convince someone to date you. And when you wanted to get a job in your interview, you were trying to sell yourself to the boss who had the hiring decision. And if you're married, you had to sell your spouse.
Right. Yeah. My first real job was at a stock brokerage firm here on Long Island. And the way that I got it was I was in 10th grade. No, 11th grade. Sorry. And, there was a girl in my class, Connecticut High School. And at Connecticut High School, we have Ronkonkoma, which is basically ghetto shooting and all that stuff. And we have Oakdale, which is all rich drug kids. That's how it was when I was there. So when we go to high school, we come together and we go to the same high school. So there was a girl from the Oakdale side who had a really rich father who drove her to school every day in a nice car. It was like a Lamborghini, Ferrari, something like that. I forget which one it was. My whole 11th grade year was spent trying to become her best friend so that I could learn from her father and hopefully work for her father. I ended up being his cold caller at a stock firm in my 11th grade high school year and dropping out of Connecticut High School.
Nice.
That's selling all around.
Yeah, sure is. Take another question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's see. There was David's question, or having success part-time, working a day job in transition, and we're looking to transition right now into entrepreneurship or part-time consulting. So,
right, David, I think you're in a better position than people who do it full-time. And here's why. Number one, you don't have to worry about money right away. And I don't like when people are selling from a point of desperation. A lot of people do like that. I don't. I like it when you don't have to close a deal. I think people are better that way. And number two, you're going to have a higher success rate because when it comes to contacting people, I'm talking about, because you work a 9 to 5, I'm assuming, and so does the secretary, the vice president, the marketing manager, and all the other people. But guess what? As business owners, we don't stop at 5 o'clock. So if you call a business at 7, you have a much better chance of getting through all the garbage right to the main guy. And Saturdays and Sundays as well.
Yeah, it's perfect for doing part-time because those are the times you're more likely to not be working your job.
Yep. And you're not desperate, which I like.
Right. Yeah, you're not having to decide to whether you're going to drink water or or have, cardboard for dinner. Right. Money. And the people try and start these businesses or consulting firms sometimes with nothing in their pocket, and it's not a good position to be. You need to be somewhat stable, part-time. Take a part-time job, at least keep the lights on.
Yep.
Other questions here. Dave asked a question here. What can I do to increase sales for solar panels to homeowners? What points am I to hit? Well, what's the benefits, Dave, of solar? Why should someone get a solar panel? The benefits are what's going to sell that. You reduce your bills, let's say. You reduce your monthly electric bill. You can get, actually, I know a guy, I think he was hovering somewhere around $150, $200. Electricity in New York is ridiculous. But he was able to put back in, I think it was like $90 to $100 back in. So he cut his solar power, cut his utility bill in half. Saved him $2,000 a year, or whatever it was.
Yep. The other thing too, Dave, you got to think about, and again, this is something that's very common that I run into a lot. Number one, you said homeowners, so obviously you've already assumed that you're going to be knocking on doors or calling people that own a home. But when are they there? Just like the real estate agent. If you're prospecting, I know solar companies like to do the 9 to 5 thing. But again, so does everybody else. So if you're prospecting to homeowners, they're not jobless. They're not going to be there at 3 in the afternoon. So you have to figure out when your prospects with authority are going to be there. When is the husband and wife both going to be home so that you can have the decision be made right then and there? Now, I'm all about the one call deal. I like the one call close. So if I'm knocking on somebody's door, I want to make sure that the authority is present. If that homeowner, both of them are not there, I don't want to do anything. So think about when they're both going to be there. And that's one of the things right away that can increase your sales with that, because you're going to be talking to more qualified people.
Right. Having the qualified leads get you a much higher response rate than anything else if you just did a shotgun approach. Very cool. Jen says she's a little confused, unfortunately. We're selling outsource. Are we selling outsourcing, or are we finding clients first and then reselling?
Jen, you're setting up a process that's going to bring in leads for the client. That's what you're doing. Okay, so if I have a client, and the other good thing about this that I haven't mentioned is that you could sell this to anybody. You don't have to worry about people that make $10 million a year or whatever. You could sell it to the pizza place. But that's another point. You're setting up a process. We're going to show you how to set up a process that brings in qualified prospects, want, need, desire, ability, authority, experience, status, those 5 things. Qualified prospects to people that are paying you a set amount of money per month. That's what you're doing, okay? You're not bringing traffic to a website because 99% of traffic is useless. You're not bringing in calls to a phone because 99% of that is useless. You're bringing in people who have demonstrated that they want, need, or desire what it is they're offering. They have the authority to make a payment. They have the authority to say yes or no. They have the ability to make a payment. And whatever the thing is going to improve their status and experience in life. You're going to carve out that group of people, and you're going to set up a process to bring those people to your clients. That's what you're doing. And we're going to show you how to set that whole thing up and how to sell it. Once you set that up one time, you never have to touch it again. That client keeps paying you every month.
Very cool. Derek, is it best to cold call prospects or email them? I love this question. Go ahead, Kenny. I want to hear your.
Well, my answer is obvious. You know, I think most of you like the email better, but there's nothing. I mean, I can get instant feedback on a cold call. Right? If someone's reading an email, they're saying, oh, this guy's full of it. Well, if he says that on the phone, then I can rebut it. Right? Oh, I don't have time this week to meet with him. Well, I can rebut that on the phone. In an email, there's a chance he might not write me back. Right? So for me, it's about dialing the phone, and it's always been about dialing the phone, and it always will be. There's nothing that gets an ROI like a telephone call, in my opinion.
No, there isn't. There isn't, in my opinion. I love the phone too.
Yeah, emailing does work, though.
Email does work. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I got a lot of prospects and I got to do a lot of sales. And most of the time I do the pre-sale on that email. So it's just a matter of, I call them up to give them a link or to get payment, or I run down there to get a check. Or it obviously could be done. But if I needed to make, absolutely, positively needed $1,000 by midnight, I'd be on the phone calling the West Coast.
Yep.
From now until midnight Eastern time. And I would get at least $1,000 or $2,000. This is the fastest route for any consultant or even just part-time guy looking to make some extra cash. The fastest route. So best is subjective. Best is subjective. What do you mean by best? Is it better? Is it easier? Is it less confrontation? Things to consider when what you're willing to do. And I think you had talked about that earlier in the presentation. Is you got to be willing to do the things that other people are not willing to do, and sometimes that is picking up the telephone.
Another thing that's interesting about the phone, and I think I'd like to hear your opinion on this because I don't know the answer to it. But okay. I think the interesting thing about the phone is that when you have an email that goes out, you send it out to 1,000 people. If that email is bad, you're not going to get any responses from it. Mm. If you're terrible on the phone and you dial it a lot, you're not going to get a lot. Your numbers are going to be terrible, but you're still going to get a result from that. Because you're going to hit one idiot that's like, oh, yeah, I'm just dying to have a website done. Like, if you just dial the phone enough, I hate playing the numbers game because sales is a skill game. But the point is, if you're terrible at the telephone, you're going to get a result. Same thing with knocking on doors. If you write up the bad email and send it out to a batch of 2,500 people, that email's out. I mean, you can't change it. It's out. So it's over.
Right. Yeah. It will instantly turn off, let's say 25 of those prospects or whatever, the amount. If that email was absolutely terrible. But with a phone, you could actually stumble through it and just be a complete fool on the phone. And as long as you transmit those benefits, as long as the person on the other side understands, what the promise is that you're making and the solution to solve that, and then some proof that it works or some kind of social proof or case study, they could be persuaded to buy, and they will buy. And, like you said, the numbers would be horrible. You may have to make 100 calls, but, if you're selling something for $2-3 grand per 100 call, like I said, I could do 100 calls in an hour, and that's low. So you figure in one day, if I just did telephone sales and I was a complete buffoon with the telephone, I would do $8 grand, just skipping lunch.
Yeah. And 100 calls is, like you said, I mean,
that's nothing.
It's an hour and a half. Dialer, without a dialer.
Yeah, without a dialer. The dialers could really amp you up 500, 400 or better. So was that what you were thinking of? My thoughts on it that answered that question for you?
Yeah, because there's some people out there. I mean, I listen to podcasts and stuff like that, and there's some people that I heard on podcast interviews and stuff that like swear by email. I mean, Lee is excellent at it. I could never get it to work. The math just never made sense to me. The way that it worked out for me, it never worked, because I always thought, man, if I send one bad email out, that ruins the whole list. Yeah, if I make one bad phone call, it ruins one person. That's fine. I'm whatever. I make bad phone calls every day. But if I send out a bad email to a batch of people, the whole list is dead.
Well, I've sent out some pretty bad emails. You know, I'm not perfect with it. I mean, I like to consider myself a adapt copywriter or an apt copywriter, and especially emails. Lee, I've sent out Lee's emails. I've seen an improvement from his emails, so he's definitely good at what he does.
Right.
I've never seen it ruin the list, though. I mean, you have people who come back and say, okay, this was ridiculous, you know, and then you kind of try and understand why it was ridiculous, which is some of the best learning about the information about your customers comes from those moments.
Right.
So it's almost like you should screw up on purpose just to get an idea as to, you know, the raw feedback that you'll get from people. Do you set up a recorded message to put out an auto dialer? Yeah, you know, that's something... the auto dialers that I used were always just dialing. And then when somebody answered the phone, it would pass it to whoever was in the queue. There's someone they're called Press One, like a Press One campaign, where it will be a message. Like I get, I don't know, maybe 24 of those a day. Like, hey, you've been approved for 50 grand, or you've been selected for solar, or you've been these, and press 1 if you're interested. And then it would connect you with an agent, wherever that agent is. I hate that method. I'm not a big fan of that method at all. What do you think, Ken? I
think it's weak.
Yeah, it's weak sauce, right?
If you listen, if the guy's gonna pick up the phone, talk to him.
Yeah, just make the call. Just make the call. But the press ones, yeah, not so hot. But the auto dialers, just, you know, you get a list. You can get, you know, you could build and prospect that list yourself. Outsource somebody to create the list for you. You know, let's say on Fiverr or any Kenny's team or whatever. Build a list and then go through those lists. Yeah, I like the Chet Holmes Dream 100 approach, actually.
Yep.
From his book. That fantastic approach. And I couldn't even do it justice trying to explain it here. You would have to read the book to truly get it. And that's The Ultimate Sales Machine by one Mr. Chet Holmes. Hope that answers your question, Derek. Alex, is there a way to sell mobile apps, or is this something that is too difficult to find the ideal prospect for?
Lee, can you get back on the mic I see you typing in there, but you're not talking. Yeah, we have some questions for you. Alex, that's a good question. Again, I'm going to go back to the first question that I asked in the program, in this presentation, which is, what do they really want? Right? Don't sell the mobile app. If you're walking in with your iPhone saying, oh, look at this button and how this menu works and all that, sell how it's going to bring them more business. And then prospecting for it is easy. See, you're looking for people who want mobile apps. I would never do that. I'm looking for people who want more money. That's every business in the world. Now, can every business in the world benefit from a mobile app? No, probably not, right? The plumber's not going to do that, whatever. But the pizza place certainly could. Now, if you sell it the right way to them, they're going to buy it. The right way is, here's how I'm going to bring in 30% more customers to your pizza place to buy pizza from you, right? Because 80% of people are using their cell phones when they're in their car, trying not to kill people or whatever. And you're going to go through the numbers with them, and you're going to show them how that's going to increase their revenue. Not how great the app is, how it's going to increase, put more, like Luther says, bring more people into the restaurant. I always say I point to their door when I'm there. I say I'm going to make that glass door go in and out. People are going to come in. They're going to put more cash in that register, and that's it. I don't care how it happens, what happens. I don't care what it looks like. People are going to come in that door, and they're going to buy something from you. That's my only job. Your job is to give them what they pay you for. That's it. You do your job, I do mine. We're all good. All right? So whatever it is you're selling doesn't matter. They all want money. That's what you have to focus on.
Hoorah.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes.
I really like Miles' question. We should definitely take Miles' question next. How do we establish credibility so they feel, assuming the prospects feel, comfortable paying us thousands of dollars up front?
You know what you're talking about. You're enthusiastic, and you go straight to the point. Okay? You listen, Miles, I don't know who you are. I mean, maybe you heard of me before or whatever, but most people in here had no idea who I was before they came on this program. Okay? When I'm gonna go back to, if I can here for a second, I'm gonna go all the way back, and I want to show you something. All right. This is going to give you a lot of value. So pay attention to this, and you might want to take some notes here or whatever. Maybe set your phone up and record this, right? If I started this program and I said, okay, thanks, Luther. Thanks for having me on. We're going to talk about how to instantly add high-ticket consulting clients to your business without you personally selling anything or providing any services ever. Part 2 is going to be, I'm going to show you exactly how to, if that's how I was presenting to you, you would think I was an idiot, and you'd be right, because I'd have no idea what I was talking about. But instead, what I did, and I was freaking out before this thing started because I couldn't stand up, and I always stand up when I'm doing these things. Instead, what I did was I said, okay, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to instantly add high-ticket consulting clients without having to personally sell anything or provide any services ever. Now, what we're going to do is in part number 2, I'm going to show you how to exactly close up to 80% of the prospects that you talk to on the very first call. And then I started getting a little funny, right? Results are not typical. Most people that are here aren't typical people. They're out smoking weed on the beach or whatever. Like, I did some stupid stuff. That's how you build credibility and authority with people. It's not talking about, oh, well, I have family that lives in that state too. That doesn't build rapport. That wastes time. So it's a great question. The answer to the question is your tonality, your pace, and if you're in person, your body language. That's how you build real credibility with people.
And it's usually done in the first 10 seconds.
Yep. Or sometimes even quicker than that.
Yeah, sometimes even quicker than that. Like, all right, this guy obviously knows. And some people will even say that to you. They'll even say, oh, you obviously know what you're talking about, so I don't have to beat around the bush. What's this going to cost me? So it's that a buyer question, you know, that just give them the price that they thought give them a price that is either at or below the price that they thought they were going to pay. And you've got the sale. Just
right.
Yeah, just done. Let's see what else we got here. I, too, have some really cold coffee right here. Granted, I could have run in and got some fresh one, but
what was the question we had for Lee? He came back on the audio there for a second. I think he's still here. There was something, I forget what it was though.
Yeah, Lee, you should do some talking.
Okay. Well, the other thing I was going to say about the credibility piece, and I don't know if you covered this because I was chatting with our friend Jimmy, but you mentioned it, Kenny, earlier in the webinar, is a shock and awe.
Yes.
The indoctrination. So part of what you do to build credibility is before you even get on the phone with them, you build up that shock and awe that we were talking about.
Right. It's an email sequence. I could go through the whole thing if you want.
They have to be in the course, man.
Well, no, I could just outline like what it is.
All right.
All right. Let me do that. Hang on a second. See, you guys are getting extra stuff. Lee's getting all. See, Lee's getting all. Got to be in the course. Like we should have just left him out. He's killing all the fun.
We're talking about.
No, we did have a question for you though. I forget what it was.
Yeah. I'm going back trying to find it.
I just got to open up that portion of what I got going on here, and then. Oh, you know what it was, Lee? Is the program all at once, or is it drip fed?
No, it's all at once. You get it all.
Yeah, it's funny. I just found it, and somebody who had purchased it had mentioned that in the chat. I don't know if the chat is global. He had said, "Yeah, everything comes in," but I missed that line apparently.
Yeah, it's if you want to drink from the fire hose, you're more than welcome to. But I mean, when you get in the members area, we have an intro video and all that stuff to show you how to actually consume the training so that it makes the most sense.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't do that with their courses. I like that the way you have everything set up. It's similar to how I set mine up. It's very easy to follow. You tell people exactly how to consume it, which is important. Some people just dive in, they burn themselves out. You got to, pace yourself.
Right. Absolutely.
So, I tell people to watch.
You can't skip around either.
No, that'll
you guys can see that, right?
I can see this. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, all right. So Lee was asking about the shock and awe sequence. So this is inside of Appointment Machine. This is one of the bonuses that you get. This is an audio program, by the way. The right side is audio. The left side is video. The left side is if you have no business experience whatsoever, you can use that to find out what your idea is and all that stuff. The propaganda is also covered in there. But if you look down here, the shock and awe is lesson 11. Now, what we do here is we go through a complete, this is appointments only. That's all I talk about here. No sales stuff, nothing. It's just appointments. So what we do is we go through an appointment script, right? So there's the complete audio at the top, and then there's, you know, the open, qualifying, flipping them over, the lockdown. Lockdown is important. If you're calling appointments and you're not locking them down, you're losing half of them. Then we talk about the shock and awe. So the shock and awe is a series of emails and or text messages, voicemails, and direct mail. Okay. That happens between the time I book an appointment and when I show up to the appointment. And what it consists of are three things. Number one, testimonials. Number two, case studies. And number three, what we call the threat email. Okay. So the threat email basically says case studies and testimonials are kind of self-explanatory. But the thread email basically says, you know, we're going to do this with somebody. Meeting you on Tuesday at 2. So, I mean, if, you know, you want to do it, you can. But, you know, we also talked to Joe's Pizza and John's Pizza and the other pizza place and this pizza place and this pizza place and this pizza place too. So we're going to meet with them next week. But we're meeting with you on 2 o'clock on Tuesday. So we'll see you then. If you have any questions, let us know. And I give you the emails in the thing, so you don't have to worry about how to write them or whatever. But, and I do it in a couple different ways. So I'll do an email, I'll do a voicemail, I'll do a text message. Sometimes I'll shoot a video of myself saying it and then send it to them as a text message. And sometimes I'll deliver it in like a FedEx package or regular mail or whatever. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to make sure that they get the message, because this is what sets up the close when I get there. All right. It makes the close a lot easier. Right, so like 80% of my selling is done through that sequence once the appointment is booked. If you don't do that between the time you book an appointment to when you show up, they're not even going to remember who you are when you get there. So you have to do that, you know, in the middle. And I'll send out the shock and awe sequence. It's just a 3-part sequence, but I'll touch them 15 times over a 3-day period of time between the time I book an appointment until the time I show up. So there you go. And in the training, you get the actual emails that we use, so you don't have to really.
Right, you don't have to go crazy looking for them; they'll be there.
Right, yeah, they're in there when you get in it.
Awesome. Marcus had asked. I don't know if Marcus is still with us, but he had asked if you get a copy of that spreadsheet, and I think you did say that you did include it in the members area. It
was actually just in this. If you go into Appointment Machine, which again is included, it's one of the bonuses.
Yeah, I want
and you go all the way down to the bottom on the right side, it says Calculator Download. That's the Excel spreadsheet and all that stuff that I was showing you in the middle of the training.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab that. I like it. I love spreadsheets.
That's really good because it, you know, sales is the most important thing. I mean, you know, that's what we got to focus on. So,
oh, absolutely. I tell people all the time. I tell students, focus on sales. Like, don't even worry so much as to what you are selling, like what service. Worry about who that customer is and what benefit you are selling and why that person would buy that benefit. And if you can, you know, prove to them that you can deliver that benefit, if you could show them, okay, here's the benefit that you're going to get, you'll make the sale. It's and do that 90% of the time. Let's say you work 10 hours a day. For 9 hours, you should just be doing prospecting, sales, outreach, follow up, and then that 1 hour left, do the busy work. You know, and when you get a payment, you hire someone to do the job. Don't worry about doing the job yourself. So don't worry about, unless you get that payment, don't worry about getting anything done, because nothing of nothing is nothing. You don't sell, you don't have the problem of fulfillment.
Right. That's actually a great point that I probably should add to this presentation that I've never really talked about, which is a lot of people ask, and it hasn't been happening this time, but it usually happens a lot. They'll say, one person asks it, how do I get the results? Right. My answer to that usually is close a deal first. And then we'll worry about like how to fulfill it, right? Like sell, and if you talk to successful people, they will tell you that over and over and over again. Don't hypothetically do it. Close the deal, figure it out later. And what's the worst that can happen? You screw it up and you refund the guy the money. Learn how to close. If you learn how to close, fulfillment will take care of itself.
That's right. Miles had another question here. Do you find that they research your company and see that you're a no-name?
No, I don't find that.
Never
And here's
seen
how
that.
I overcome it. It's very, very easy to do, Miles. Watch. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to think I'm crazy and I am a little crazy, but you're going to think I'm really crazy when I tell you this. But this is exactly what I do. Okay. What I do when I do appointments, and that's when this is going to come up at an appointment. It's not going to come up when you're cold calling someone or emailing them or whatever. It's going to come up when you're trying to close the deal. So when I do appointments, I do them on Skype most of the time, or I'm doing them face to face. Okay. If somebody says, my consulting company does not have a website, by the way, and we never will. If somebody says, well, send me your website or show me your website, or, I'm researching this and I can't find anything about it. What I do is I take them on the Warrior Forum. This is a true story. I do this every time. Take them on the Warrior Forum and I take them to the offline section. And I say, all these people have beautiful websites, every one of them, but they can't provide you anything because all they do is sit on this stupid place and they talk to each other all day. One of them is asking how to get a client. The other one is saying, holy crap, I got a client. What do I do? That's every post. So if you want to work with someone with a beautiful website, go with one of them. Don't expect results, though. Now, I don't have time to build a website. All I'm doing is calling people, closing deals, and providing my services. That's it. If you want to focus somebody who spends 17 hours a day customizing a WordPress theme, go with one of these people. They'll probably be a lot cheaper, too. That's how I overcome it. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, if you do it with the right tonality and the right pace, it works.
Yeah, it takes a little practice. Stand in front of the mirror or have somebody ask you, a friend or a family member, say, well, why should I hire you? Do you have a website? You just say, I'm too busy to have a website. Too busy. I'm too busy servicing. What is a website but my brochure in a digital form or my presentation in a digital form? You want something to read? I'll be happy to give you something to read. In the meantime, your competitors have stolen 10 of your leads. And you've lost $2,000, based on what that customer value or potential customer value is for that client. And I've never had anyone push back after that. That's an objection slayer, very golden objection slayer. Is in the time that you're delaying right now, you've lost 10 customers.
Yeah, that's true. And I kind of like cheat with that one because I grew up, quote unquote, in business at 3 different firms actually that were complete no names, and 2 of them were like complete frauds. I mean, half the people that worked there were in jail. And one of the biggest objections that we had was, well, why don't we just, if I'm going to put my money somewhere, it's going to be JP Morgan, right? Well, the way that you overcome that is exactly the way, kind of what Luther just said. If you want 2% on your money, go to JP Morgan. If you want a stock to go from 3 to 7 in 4 days, here's where you got to come. Now, we couldn't say that because it's against the law, but that's kind of what we would point out. Like, we would paint that picture, right? If you want to get 2% on your money, go to JP Morgan, put it in a wholesale CD or something like that. If you want to make real money, this is where you got to be, because they're not going to make you real money, right? And it's the same type of deal, right? Show the downside of working with the other person and the upside of working with you.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Let's see if we have any other questions. This thing doesn't auto scroll, I'm finding.
What's that? The questions?
The chat. The
you
chat.
Know what? The read to one of them. If you click out into the big gray box in the middle, it should, because it auto scrolls for me.
I got it. Thank you. Catherine says, great webinar. Catherine asked for someone to help her out. What do you need help out? What do you need help with, Catherine?
And thank you, by the way, Catherine. You need to go to work? You want me to drive you?
Yeah, let's go.
You're probably a little far. I don't know if I can help you out going to work, but I can help you out selling stuff and closing deals if that's what you want. Oh, you tried to buy it and you didn't. You couldn't get it done. So Lee, if you want to help out Catherine.
Yep, working on it.
Okay, perfect. And she wants me to make her a sandwich. Perfect. I will.
What kind of sandwich you want? You need gyro would be a good choice right about now. Any other questions for us? Questions for Kenny specifically? Let me just go back. I may have missed a question or two. They came in pretty rapidly. I love that solar panel question.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Consider
And it usually always comes down to the same thing. Like, when are the qualified prospects in the place they need to be in order for them to make a decision?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's just really what it comes down to. Praveen, your question was missed. You could just retype it.
I'm hunting it. Yeah, it probably would have been better. Hunting for it. There's a lot of chat here.
You know what I should have said too when we first started? It's a little late now, but Praveen just kind of, if you have a question and you mark it as a question, it's much easier for us to find it.
Yes, that's right.
Comes up as red. I should have said that in the beginning. I usually do, but I forgot. Just to clarify, will Kenny be available for questions throughout the course? Well, there's 2 Q&As that are live with me. And just be aware, Praveen, and everybody else, we open mics in the Q&A. What that means is I'm going to say, you're having problems on the phone, Praveen? Good. Put your mic on. We're opening you up. Throw objections at me, and I'm going to overcome them live on the call. That's what we do on the Q&As. Okay, so be prepared for that. Number one. Number two, you're in a Facebook group with me. So, yeah, you can ask questions all day long. I'm not going to answer them all day long because I have a life, but I'll answer them when I get there, which is once a day or twice a day, and we'll address it. And there's going to be other people in there that can answer your questions as well. So, yeah, I'll be available to answer questions as you're in here.
Nice. And you're right, Derek. You're right, Derek. It will work with a lot of my publications. Most of them are set as almost like a compartmentalized opportunity that you can just layer. And I give you the benefits. I tell you how to do the service or where to get the service done. But you can use what Kenny's put together here as a way to close that 80%. Because I know a lot of people struggle with that. Because they struggle with the close, because they struggle with the sales, because they don't actually make an attempt, or at least a proper attempt. And that's what Kenny has here for you is the method for a proper attempt.
That Instagram thing was pretty cool too.
I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, that was fun.
I very rarely and this is no offense to anybody, but I very rarely stop and say, wow, this is pretty, I may want to look at this. I don't do that too often.
No, I'm flattered.
The Instagram thing is was pretty cool. I liked it.
Thank you. Now I've been getting pretty wordy, and I don't know what it is. I guess I'm becoming a faster and better typist. I mean, I've been typing for probably 25 years, but my books are getting bigger and bigger because there's just so much out there, and to give everyone, what they need to get things done, you got to give them almost anything out. And I've always, when I've gone into it, I've said to myself, make sure you don't leave anything out.
Right.
It's a bad place to be when something's left out. And having gone through your stuff too, you do that. I don't know if you do that consciously or not, but you do that. It's fun though. I enjoy writing very much.
Private question, Praveen. I'm not going to say it because it's private, but I'll answer this way. Again, like I said right in the beginning of the call, it's all about the money. So yes, selling is selling is selling is selling. It doesn't matter. The product doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as you are selling the money, or a better way to put it is this, and I think, Luther, you say this a lot too. Sell the opportunity. Sell the opportunity. Don't sell the thing. Sell the opportunity. If you can do that, it doesn't matter if it's that type of business that you talked about, or a plumber or a roofer or a painter or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Just sell the opportunity. How can I bring in more? How can I get more customers that want that thing, that meet the criteria, into that place of business? Once you can prove that you can do that to the prospect, they're going to buy from you.
And you said before, Kenny, if you can get 10, if I can get you 10 more customers, a buyer of that thing, whatever that thing is, would you be interested? Would you be willing to give this a try? Would you be able to cut me a check right now so you can get those 10? I can prove it to you that you can get these 10. Just give this a try for 30 days. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. It's, if you can convince them and prove that you can deliver that, then it's a done deal. Most people will try it. Most people will buy it.
Right. And you know what? Another thing, too, to answer Praveen's question just a little bit in more depth, and I think this is going to help everybody, so you might want to write this down as well or record it with your phone or whatever, but sell based on math and tell them that you're lying to them. Okay? That's a very good way to close deals. Sell based on math and tell them that you're lying to them. So if you guys want an example of that, I can give it to you. But
yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay, so this would work perfectly in Praveen's example, but I can't use it because it's a private question. I don't want to give away his idea.
Unless we can goad Praveen into saying, can we reveal it?
We will use attorneys.
Okay.
That's 70% of my client base. So we'll use lawyers. Okay. So I walk into a lawyer's office. I'm selling a $1,500 thing. Okay. And the lawyer says, I'm not going to pay $1,500. I don't, for whatever reason, he doesn't believe it's going to happen or whatever. And I say, listen, in our area, there are about 3,000 people, or usually I'll give a mileage range. So I'll say within 10 miles of your location, there's about 3,000 people searching for a lawyer every single month. Okay. Your retainer fee is $2,000. Do you think that I could get 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them? What do you think? He's going to give me a number. He's going to say, well, out of 3,000, maybe you can get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. And then I'm going to say to him, okay, let's pretend that everything that I just said is wrong. And I lied to you from the second I walked in the door. There's 3,000 people in the area within 5 miles of your location that want a lawyer. All I got to do is get 1 and you're 500 in the green. Sign here. See? So I say, let's assume everything that I said is wrong, and then I tell them to buy it. And I did the same thing to all of you here. You didn't notice it because it's a little bit of a sales thing, but I did the same thing, right? Remember when I was saying, if you have a bagel store that's $3,000 or whatever, what I was saying is assume that everything I said is wrong and you only get 40% of the people to say yes, or you only get 20% of it. Maybe the 80% is wrong. You only get 20% of the people to say yes. It's still way worth the $500. Because even if 2 out of 10 say yes, you make $3,000 in 10 phone calls, you're still way ahead of the game, right? So you're going to sell your niche, Praveen, and lawyers and plumbers and the same exact way, right? There's X amount of people in the area. I can get 10 of them every single month. You would agree with that, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's say I'm wrong and I can only get 2. You're still $500 ahead. You're still $1,000 ahead. Sign here, do the deal.
Right. Whether that's a cash or a check.
Yep.
Like, how do you want to pay? Cash or check? And it's never like a yes or no, or it's always, here are your options, pick one. And it works. It does. I like that niche that he talked about too.
Yeah, I shouldn't even say that because then people will know. But yeah, it is a very good.
Yeah, we can't talk too much. but I'm like itchy in my chair right now, dude.
Jen, do you need to set up a PayPal a certain way to receive? That's a good question. I can't answer that. I don't know because I use Stripe, so I have no idea.
I can answer that question. If you have a business account and you have a communication with them, and I literally mean call them once a month and tell them a little bit about your business or ask them, how's my standing? Like if you have a contact with them, and look, I don't have a robot fly on the wall at PayPal, so I don't know for sure. But what I've experienced over the last 10 years in doing with PayPal, I mean, I don't know how much money I put through PayPal, but it's ridiculous. If you have contact with them, they will assign you a lower risk status. They will say, okay, this person has a less risk, excuse me, of some problem. And it's typically the problem is people, will have some success and they'll take all these PayPal payments and they'll immediately take all the money out so that your PayPal balance is 0. So that if somebody were to do a chargeback or some problem, PayPal is not going to cover your refunds. So they're going to say this person's at a risk for doing this. We're going to turn you off, or we're going to limit you. We're going to put what do they call it? There's a name for
reserve.
Reserve. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to put a reserve on you. But if you keep a balance to cover 15% of your refunds or whatever it is, just 15% contingency, and you have a monthly contact with them, and you have, for U.S. it's an employee identification number, an IRS registration number, like you have a business entity, they're not going to screw with you. So hopefully that answers the question.
I pay myself $2,000 a week from PayPal. That's all I take out. And I have no reserve. Never had a problem.
Yeah.
I have a lot of money in PayPal. I should have Elon Musk's phone number. That's how much money I have in PayPal because I only take $2,000 a week out.
Yeah.
But I never had an issue. Like they never give me a problem as long as I do that. So they're getting a lot of interest off my money and whatever. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's sitting there, it's mine. It's not a problem. So
I've run so many businesses through my PayPal. Like, I'm probably the golden boy on it. If I have my picture.
they have a Luther department.
They have a Luther department. That would be funny, actually, if they. Oh yeah, we know you. I mean, I call them once a month, so they know me by name. You know, at least the people who have the front end of the face. And the risk team. When I think of the risk team, I imagine a bunch of guys, bean counters, sitting in a room. Just looking over people's cases and businesses and deciding whether they're high risk or not. I actually had a student. What's that?
It's like an actuary at an insurance company.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. They just have a risk assessment. Is this going to hurt PayPal in the long run or in the short term? I had you're gonna like this actually. I had a student email me. They had asked me if, do I need to start a business entity and do I need a PayPal? Well, you need a PayPal to at least take some payment. You can get a check, obviously. There's other services like a merchant account you get from the bank or whatever, but PayPal is easy and it's household name. Do you need a business entity? Obviously, I think that's the better idea, but I think that what was it? The PayPal had said to her that we don't like the SEO consulting business because it's high risk, which I thought was really weird because I've never heard that before. But they had given her some kind of a hard time. So I said, well, don't say that because that's usually not what your business. That's not your business. You're a solution provider. You provide technical services or digital marketing solutions. It doesn't matter. If you give them specifics, then they're going to ask someone, oh, okay, they're going to do their own research. Maybe they'll even go to Google and say, SEO, and they'll find some shady SEO product. And that will be the determination of whether they assign you a risk level. I guess the takeaway here is to really have an LLC or have an S corp or have some kind of registered entity and have a business account and of course a business checking account too should be in that mix. Your personal account should never be connected to your PayPal account if you're using it for business. That's a recipe for sadness.
Talking about PayPal, I wanted to show you guys this the 30-day guarantee slide. And you guys can use this in your business when you're selling stuff. It's called passing off the trust. I do it all the time. You heard me do it when I was doing the presentation, and it works shockingly well. It's ridiculous. So we have a 30-day guarantee. I'm just reading you the slide just so you understand the context of it. If for any reason at all you're unhappy at the training, you get 30 days, return, whatever, and you get your 100% of your money back. Now, if that ended there, you could say, okay, fine, I don't know this guy. He could take the money and run. Like, I don't know who the hell he is. Right? But if you listen back on a replay or whatever, basically what I said in the last sentence is, and you're also 100% protected by PayPal. And you and I both know they always side with the buyer. Right? I probably said it in a different tone or whatever when I was actually in the mode of doing it. What I'm doing there is I'm saying, listen, man, we talked about trust, right? I said, listen, don't trust me. You don't know me. I wouldn't expect you to trust me after 45 minutes. You don't know who the hell I am. But you could definitely trust PayPal. And you've had refunds through PayPal before, and you've had people run on you with PayPal before. And if you want your money back from PayPal, they're going to side with you. So I'm passing off the trust to somebody else. That's why Amazon works so well, right? You put your product on Amazon, it's going to sell well if you market it right. It's going to sell better than it would on your own website because Amazon is trustworthy. People know who they are. It's a household name. PayPal is the same thing. And I brought this up because Luther said PayPal is a household name. Everybody knows who they are. You can pass off the payment trust to somebody else, which builds your credibility. We used to do it in the stock business. Nobody knew who the hell we were. We used to say our clearinghouse is UBS Paine Webber. You heard of them, right? Instant credibility right there. Okay, so you can always pass off that trust to somebody else.
Funny enough, I almost got a job at UBS.
Did you?
Yeah, I was in their technical Rhomba session department there.
We were in Hauppauge. We were Tassin and Company was the name of the brokerage firm.
I was going to go take the Waterways ferry going to Jersey, and I did a technical job with them way back. I was young, man. I was like early 20s. Very good. See if we have any other questions here. Don't see it. We still have almost 100 people still hanging out. They must love the sounds of our voice.
So guys, what's the big, when you're selling stuff, what's the biggest objection that you hear? I'll teach you how to get over it right now. Any one of you, whether you bought it or not, doesn't matter. What's the biggest objection that you hear besides trust? Because we already got that one. What's the biggest problem that you have? I mean, what do you think? Like, what do you hear from people? What do you think the biggest objection is that they hear?
Biggest objection they hear? It's, you know, you would think it would be price, but it's not.
Right.
It's never price. I've never had someone say to me, "Hey, the customer is fighting the price." It's typically a combination of, you know, how are we going to get the work done? You know, can you get this work done? It's a credibility issue. And I think that has more to do with the self-confidence and, you know, wanting to know if you can do it, which doesn't make sense because you could just outsource, have somebody do it for you. It typically is some credibility, you know, some credibility crotcher.
So like they've been through it before?
Yeah, like people get burned, like,
or whatever.
Like, let's say you're selling websites, right? It's a good example. You're selling websites, and I ran into this a lot with restaurants because I kept at one point I had like 300 restaurant clients, and one of the biggest things I'd run into was, you know, hey, I had a website built before, and usually it was like, you know, a Flash website or something, and it was just a piece of garbage because Flash is a piece of garbage, and they felt burned. You know, a lot of like a restaurant client might say, you know, I spent $3-4 grand on this custom website. I didn't get any customers.
Right.
You know, so I got burned in the past. Why should I do this again? You know, why should I bother? You know, it's kind of, I've been burned in the past. Why should I do it again? That's what
kind of computer are you on right now?
I built this one. I don't really name it. It's a Luther brand. It's I just went to Newegg and I bought a whole bunch of parts and slapped them together.
And primarily you use it for business, right? Or you use it like for other stuff too?
It's kind of, you know, well, it's my machine. I got 4 big screens. I use it for whatever I need it for. You know, it's either business or.
Was that the first computer you had? Other ones before that, or was that the first one ever?
I've been building computers probably since I was like 12.
Why did you decide to build this one?
I needed the power. I needed the space. I needed better video production capabilities. I needed a faster way to render videos and content.
So the other one was rendering the videos slower?
Yeah, the other one was, you know, probably half as powerful. So if I did a 30-minute video, it needed 3-4 hours to render. This one takes like 25, 30 minutes. So,
and that sucked.
Oh, it was terrible because I really couldn't do anything else while I was rendering.
Right.
I had to go walk away.
So basically what you're telling me is that you had a computer in the past. You knew that you needed it for business. You had a bad experience with it. But because you knew you needed it for business, it didn't prevent you from taking the next step and trying it again, right?
No, absolutely not. Because I knew
Sign here. Let's get going.
That's right.
See how that's done?
Absolutely.
I don't know if you picked up that I was rebutting the objection or not.
No, I picked it up. Absolutely.
But that's how you do
it.
The burn thing. That's how you do it. Listen, I do it with, like, I'll say random stuff like a car. You have a BMW outside. Is that the first car you ever bought? No, I had an 87 Dodge Dart. Well, okay, why'd you get rid of it? Well, it blew up. That was a bad experience, right? You need the car to go back and forth to work. So that bad experience didn't prevent you from moving forward because you knew you needed the car to increase your life, increase your experience, increase your revenue, right? Yes, I needed it to get back and forth to work. Okay, good.
Right.
Apply the same logic here. Right. That's all I'm asking you to do.
I used to use their spouse as a good example. When I used to counter that, I used to say, you know, listen, I don't want to mean to get personal or anything, but have you ever dated a girl or dated a boy and he broke your heart or she broke your heart and she smashed you to pieces and you couldn't eat or sleep for weeks? Like, you had that experience? Yeah, I've had that experience. Are you married now? And usually I already know because you look down on their left hand and there's a ring or whatever. Yeah. Right. Okay, did you give up on relationships because that person was a jerk to you or whatever? I mean, you know, and then bringing it back to the business, say, listen, your customer or your competitors, and I'd usually name a direct competitor that was within a couple of miles, you know, they're advertising or they're doing something similar to what I want to sell you. They're getting these customers. So, okay, fine. You don't want to do it. You felt burned in the past. That's great and all, but you're losing, because I like to sell with that, you know, the sense of loss is a much stronger motivator, that you're losing these people that you're basically paying for your competitors' kids' college fund. And why should you do that? That's not your job. Your job is to grow your business. You have a responsibility to grow your business, and you're leaving 10, 20 sales or customers or clients or whatever a day, a month, a week, whatever, on the table for someone else to pick up because you're letting the past prevent you from moving into the future. And that would work like 90% of the time.
Right. And for Derek and Thad, who said not interested is a Wiley said that, but that's a BS thing. If you're selling revenue, everybody's interested. You're just not selling it hard enough. Price is brought up by Derek and Thad. The only reason why someone will object you on price is because kind of like not interested. They don't believe that you can actually do it. Listen, if you're charging someone $1,500 a month and they believe you can bring them in $4,000, they're going to pay the $1,500. I mean, there's no question about it. They're going to pay. If you can show them you could bring in $2,500, they're going to pay the $1,500. I mean, that's just the way it is. My business, this business here, Luther's business, and your business, if you decide to do this with us, if you just make them more than they pay you and don't piss them off, they'll be your client for life. It's really that simple. That's why the price thing, that's how you overcome the price thing. You prove to them that you can actually do it.
Yeah, the price objection is like when you get to that point, if they have an objection on price, you're at the door. Like they are ready to sign on the dotted line. They are there. Just give them a reason why they should pay this. And it's usually, hey, is $500 going to put you in the cold tonight?
Yep.
Are you going to shutter your doors and fire all your employees if you pay me $1,500 today to get you 10 more customers each month? No? Okay, then you should sign on the dotted line right now because you're going to get these 10 customers and this is going to be worth 10 times what you pay me today.
Right. The price thing is easier than most people think.
Yeah, well, it's
usually not that big a video.
Confrontation. People feel like that big confrontation they clam up. It's
yep.
Oh, he's going to ask me about price. I hate confrontation. Most people do hate confrontations.
Yep.
You just have to know how to respond to it and respond to it almost instinctively. And the way you do that is just by practicing that close. Experience too. Experience helps. Yeah, I like.
You guys got any more questions? Shout them out if you got them.
You covered Anthony's question before about biggest sales objection. How do I know I can deliver the service? Have I been burned before? Okay, that was the.
Yeah, that's what we went through.
Okay. Just going through things here. Someone really wanted to know the niche that we were talking about. Curiosity factor. Oh,
yeah, Praveen's thing. Mm-hmm. I never do that, by the way, guys. If somebody tells me like it's a private deal, like I'll never, I don't talk about it. So just so you guys know, when you go into the Q&As in the Facebook group, whatever, like if you have a private thing and you tell me about it, I'm not going to take it from you because I don't need it. And I wouldn't tell anybody else.
So maybe we'll take the opportunity now to ask, what's the biggest holdup that people have? Why are you on this webinar right now instead of out there selling? Why are you here now?
Go ahead and answer that, guys. Type it in the chat box. Let us know.
Talk to me, Chief. Because it's kind of when you look at these things, okay, we'll spend a couple of hours chatting, but a couple hours could translate into tens of thousands of dollars in consulting sales, in whatever sales. You can find something to sell anywhere. Someone out there has something to sell that needs somebody who can sell to sell it for them and would part with 30, 40, 50% of the value of that thing if they had someone who could sell. So the opportunities are out there, and that's what we have here today is an opportunity to do something, to make a change. Why aren't you doing it? You don't know. Ebony says they don't know how to do it, or they don't know what to say on the phone. Well, that's easy. That they give you a sales script, piece of cake. Read, practice that sales script, deliver it to the mirror, deliver it to yourself in the mirror, and you're done. You're good.
And Ebony, what you say is important, but not as important as you think. How you say it is really what matters. The only reason why I care what you say is because if you say things off the cuff, I'm gonna train you to read. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you dial and read. That's all you got to do. Dial and read all day. That's it, right? So the only reason why I want you to stick word for word to a script is because when you have problems, and you will, when you have problems, I know exactly where that problem is and how to fix it. If you're saying a different thing every time and you're having a problem, I don't know what the problem is because you're saying something different every time. But if you stay on the paper and you're having a problem with, based on what you just told me, that what we do here seems like a perfect fit for you, and here's basically how it works. If that's where you're getting held up, I can fix that because you're saying the same thing over and over again. So what you say is not as important as how you say it, but that's going to help us determine where your problems are. And we're going to give you all the scripts you need to be on the phone. So don't worry about that. But focus more on the tonality and the pace as opposed to the actual wording. Derek, you shouldn't be working on websites. You should be selling them.
Yeah. Lack of confidence, Anthony says. Lack of confidence. Well, that comes from a lack of know-how. And that's what Kenny's offering you is the know-how, is the road. Most people can't get where they're going because they do not have a map.
Right.
Get the map and you get there.
Guys, the sales script I'm giving you, one of them, not all of them, but one of them was used to build the greatest sales organization ever on the planet. Don't worry about what to say. Don't worry about lack of confidence. We were literally, and I wasn't licensed at this place, so I'm not going to say we, but the people there were literally selling things that didn't exist to the smartest people in the world from a company that nobody's ever heard of before. And we're doing tens of millions of dollars in sales a day from the script that you're going to learn. Right? It's changed a little bit, but for the most, the framework is exactly the same. And most of the people went to jail. But you guys won't because your stuff actually exists. I mean, they went to jail because they were selling a lot of garbage stuff. Your stuff actually exists, and you're going to actually provide the services that you promised. See, they were selling stuff and promising stuff that they couldn't provide. You're going to actually provide what it is that you're selling. And I always tell people, the people that I worked with in the stock business, they're either dead, in jail, or rich. Because they understand the process. They know the process inside and out. And they sell all different. The guy in Connecticut that sells alarms, he worked with me in the stock business. He was one of my bosses. So they're all rich, dead, or in jail. Every single one of them. I chose the rich.
Sell houses now.
What's that?
A lot of stockbrokers that I knew in the past when I was younger, they sell houses now. They're real estate agents.
That's a tough business.
Very good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough business, though.
Oh, yeah. Forget it. They're great. They're great clients. If you got someone who's hot, they know how to sell a house, but they need, lead generation. They need something else. They'll pay almost anything. Real estate is just great. A lot of agents are in the mud. I like to say they get mired down because it's actually an entrepreneur's game. So they struggle with the same things that a lot of marketing consultants struggle with. So the solutions are almost always the same.
Derek says he needs help closing too. 3 things you got to know about closing a deal. 4 things, actually. Number 1, possibility. If they don't believe it's possible, they ain't going to buy it. Number 2, process. They got to believe that the process is going to work for them. Number 3, the person. They don't have to like you. That's BS. They do have to believe that what you're saying is true, though. Okay, so process, possibility, and you to a point. But they don't have to like you. That's not true. But they do have to believe what you're saying. And then you have to ask. See, a lot of people, the consultative selling thing, I hate it. It's complete garbage because you don't get to ask for an hour. I ask in a minute and 30 seconds on average for a $10,000 deal on a guy that's never heard of me before. I'm asking him for money in a minute and a half. He's saying no every time. But the reason why I'm doing that is because it gets me to the rebuttal sequence quicker. And that's where they buy. All I do in a rebuttal sequence is I go, possibility, is it possible? There's 3,000 people that are looking for attorney services in your area. Can I get 1 or 2 of them? If I get 1 or 2 of them, you're in the green. Is that possible? Yes. Do you believe this process is going to work? 3% of the people that come to your website end up getting a consultation. If we change your website to look like this, do you think it's going to be more than 3 or less than 3? More than 3. Okay, good. The process works. Now let's talk a little bit about me. Here's some of the things I've done. Here's a testimonial. Here's a case study. Go through all those things. Sign here. No, I got to talk to this person. Possibility, process, me, close. No, possibility, process, me, close. I just keep going through that over. It's called boxing them in. I keep going through that over and over and over again until they run out of objections to hit me with. Once they do that, they're logically and emotionally sold, and they can't say no to you. Okay. What they end up doing, if they really still don't want to buy it, is they'll end up hanging up the phone and leaving it off the hook, or not answering if it's like a cell phone or something. And that happens because you've done such a great job at the psychological process of selling somebody something that they can't say no, but they're still not willing to commit. They'll just hang up on you lightly without being rude, and then they just won't answer their phone. Either that or they say yes, if you do it the right way.
Right, do it enough, and you'll get plenty of yes. And you'll get better, and you'll get faster.
You're right. There's no such thing as ending a call for me unless it's a yes. I either get hung up on or they say yes. But that's it. I never go like 4 rebuttals in. Okay, let's meet Tuesday. Like that never happens. I never go from selling back to prospecting. I go from prospecting to selling, but I never go from selling to prospecting ever. So I'll never book an appointment on somebody after I've already asked them to buy from me. Ever. That never happens. I'll always follow up, but I'll never ask for an appointment or whatever.
Yeah, I think that answers the confidence question, the closing question. Yep. So, Derek, you said that websites are selling for me, though. So what do you want to do? You want to sell more websites? Because, I mean, if they're selling for you, then that's fantastic. Then you found a way to sell them. Give them some time to answer.
Right. And one thing I'll add to that real quick, Derek, is if, and I'm not being mean, I'm just being honest. If the websites are selling for you and you're happy with the rate at which they're selling, why did you spend 3 hours with us? And I think that's a valid question, right? If your sales process is nailed down tight and your websites are selling like crazy and you're happy with the production that you're doing, then you should have spent the last 3 hours selling websites, not sitting here listening to us. And I'm not saying I'm not happy you're here. I'm glad you're here. You had some great questions. But that's something you have to think about, right? Because I think that you know that you need improvement in your sales process. And it might be good, but it's not good enough. And you know that you could do better. And I think that for whatever reason, you're here for 3 hours because you know that this might be the thing that's going to get you to where you want to go.
So setting them up and then having, okay, I see what he's saying here. He said, I guess that's a lead gen, having the process. Oh, you like the Q&A, Marcus? Oh, is the replay going to be in the members area, Lee or Kenny?
Lee, is the replay going to be in the members area?
Yeah, we'll put it in the members area, and we'll also, we'll send it out to everybody that's
yeah, I'm
registered.
going to send an email out with a replay too. Also, just this has actually been informative for me and fun for me. I've enjoyed this.
Hey, Marcus, if you invested in the program, you're going to get 2 of these, 2 more of these, and it's going to be even better because, well, for me, it's going to be better. For you, it might be miserable, but it's going to help you. I'm going to actually open up your microphone, and we're going to do what's called battling it out. That's what I call it. You're going to say, I don't have the money. I'm going to come back with a rebuttal. You're going to say, I got to talk to my wife. I'm going to come back with a rebuttal. You're going to say, I'm the secretary and you're an idiot. And I'm going to come back with a rebuttal. And I'm going to get through you to talk to the business owner. We're going to battle it out live on calls. So if you think this is good, that's really where you're going to get all of your value, most of your value anyway. And that's where we're going to really work out the kinks in your pitch and help you nail down both the prospecting end of it, the qualification end of it, and the closing end of it as well.
Yeah, the hot seats. Hot seats are hot. Best way to learn. You get somebody to sit down in front of you or over your shoulder or sitting next to you when you're making your calls, when you're doing your whatnot, and they're there to say, no, don't say that. Do this. No, that's
I love doing that.
Yeah, that's a great way to be taught.
Derek wanted to hear what the program consists of. Yeah, listen, man. Like I said, I'm happy. It's just, I always wonder about that. Like, I never sit through webinars ever. They bore the crap out of me. I don't know what anyone's talking about, and most of the time, the person giving the webinar has no clue what they're talking about. So I never sit through a webinar. If I have 3 hours to work, I'm going to be like prospecting and selling stuff. So that's fine. You wanted to see what it was all about. That's totally cool. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that what you learned here, even if you didn't invest in the program, I know that what you learned here is going to help you Whether it's one thing or two things or everything, it's going to help you close more deals. You'll be able to pick something out of either the Q&A or the presentation that's going to help you sell more websites. And at the end of the day, I know this sounds cliche and everything, but really, you know, that's the main deal for us here. I mean, as long as you can get something valuable out of these 3 hours, cool. You know, if you can make an extra $1,000 a month from one thing you learned here for free, it's worth it.
Yeah, if you were taking notes during this presentation, then you've learned enough already to close.
Yep.
Absolutely. And sell almost anything to anyone who needs it, as long as they need it. You know, if they need it, they'll buy it. You just got to present it in a way that transmit the benefits of what happens when they buy it.
And the other thing too, guys, and Derek, for you, somebody asked about closing before. And closing is very important. You have to do it. You have to ask over and over and over again. You have to have a rebuttal sequence. All that stuff is true. But if you just go to the replay when Lee posted in the thing, go to the replay and watch, fast forward from the beginning and watch this part, right? You're so worried about closing because your prospecting sucks. And I hate to be mean, but that's just the truth. If you nail all three of these, want, need, desire, ability, and authority, I said it out of order, but if you nail all three of those, it's very, very hard for them to say no to you. They know they need it. They don't know you're the person to provide it, but they know they need it. They can afford it, and they have the ability to say, they have the authority to say yes or no right now. If you could do those three things and nail experience and status, closing is just a matter of asking them for the order. Maybe 2 or 3 times, but it's just a matter of asking them for the order and you not screwing it up. That's really what it's all about. And screwing it up is not a big deal. I screw up calls every single day. I make bad calls every day. Every day. And you will too. Screwing it up is not a big deal. But just know that if you have a qualified prospect on the phone, meaning they meet all of this criteria, and you hit on experience and status, if they don't buy from you, it's probably something that you did, not them. And I do it every day, right? I don't close everyone I talk to, not even close. So we're all going to do it. You're going to do it a little bit more than I do because I've been doing it longer. But we're all going to do it. Just understand, if you focus on qualified prospects, that's 90% of the battle. All right, closing is not as important as people. It's important, but it's not as important as people think. And most objections are prospecting objections. They're not sales objections. Money is a prospecting deal. Talking to the wife, prospecting deal, right? That's all prospecting stuff, not sales stuff. So a sales objection would be, you know, I want to look at 3 other companies before I decide. That's a sales objection. He knows he wants it. He can afford it. He has the authority to say yes or no right now. All the things are in place. You prove to him that it's worth it. He wants to get other estimates. He wants to talk to other. That's a sales objection. How do you overcome that? That's a sales objection. I don't have the money is not a sales objection. That's a prospecting deal. Get good at prospecting. Sales come naturally.
Right. You'll never find somebody who's broke if you prospect the right way.
Right. That's true.
Find the right person. You'll never find the unqualified prospect. I mean, you do have to do some qualification, but most of that qual should be done before you had any real contact with them. You should know who you're talking to. Always know that customer.
And another interesting thing too for Derek and whoever else is listening, that process, right? The prospecting and the selling is 2 separate things, right? That process can happen in 20 minutes, or it can happen in 3 weeks, or it can happen in 8 months, right? We can do one call closes. So I could do what's called a one call close, which is person never heard of me before. I prospect for 30, 40, 50 seconds. Then I switch right into a sales presentation. Then I trial close the guy. He says no. Then I go into a rebuttal sequence. That can happen in 20 minutes, or it can happen over the course of 5 or 6 different touches over the course of 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever. Okay. So it really depends on the process that you set up and what you're doing. You know, sometimes I'll one call close. Sometimes I'll call for appointments. Sometimes I'll just call the qualified people and mail them a piece of information. It all depends on how you want to do it and what you're feeling about, feeling like doing that day. It really doesn't matter, but just know that process, there's no time frame to it. It can happen as quickly as 20 minutes, or it could take as long as, a couple days or a week or so.
Derek, thank you for just buying. Derek is in. So is David. David, thank you.
Thank you, Derek, and everybody else.
Yeah, the closing stuff is, we could probably talk about closing for hours upon hours. which would actually do it a disservice because, like you said, it's not as important as you think it is. People want to buy. You know, they hate to be. I like to say people hate to be sold, but they want to buy. We're all consumers. We all get sold, perhaps every hour of our waking day. It's
right.
Why do we want it? Why do we need it? What's driving us? What's the fundamental driver? I mean, I like to bulldoze my sale, and maybe that's a discredit to myself. But I like to pick up the phone and sell someone, and I want to do it as soon as possible. I want to do it on one call. I think the record is, for me, I think it took me like 6 minutes to sell a $5,000 client. Just took 6 minutes. Just, hey, I know you have this problem. Do you acknowledge that you have this problem? Yes, I know I have this problem. Do you want to solve it? Yes. Why haven't you solved it already? They'll tell me why, and I'll tell them, okay, well, you're doing it wrong. Here's how you do it. And let me do it for you. Can we get started right now? You know, then you'll give me my objections. I'll fight those objections down. If they have any, then I'll ask them, check, cash, whatever. How do you want to pay? Because we can do this right now. We can get started right now. And you can see this benefit in whatever the time frame is for that service that I'm selling. And I think the longest is like 6 months. I had to get on several calls for some of the larger programs, which is weird too, because it doesn't really matter what the price is so long as the benefit that they're getting exceeds the price of whatever you're selling.
Right.
And as long as that's true, if that axiom is true, person's going to want to jump on board. It solves whatever their problem is. It goes back to, I think, have you ever heard of Gary Bencivenga, Kenny?
No.
Fantastic copywriter, someone I think you should look up. But he and I actually mentioned this earlier, the persuasion equation that he uses. And I don't know if he got that from Gary Halbert or he put it himself. That I don't remember. But it was problem, promise, proof, and a user-friendly offer. So I know you have this problem. Here's what the problem is. Do you acknowledge the problem? Look, I can solve that problem for you. Promise that you can fix, solve whatever that problem is, or provide for that need, provide some proof that my solution can solve that problem, and then make a user-friendly offer, something that they can't say no to, easy to buy, easy to access, easy to implement, and in most cases, it's the business owner doesn't have time to manage, I don't know, just pick any subject, a Facebook ad or some kind of advertising. I'm going to give that to you. You're going to be good. You're done. Just let's get started. And then again, objections, or they're going to buy. And then from there, right. you perform the service or have someone do it for you.
It's similar to my my email sequence. I don't so much lay it out that way, but I mean, it's when the first thing that I do is I do testimonials, and then I do case studies. I follow up testimonials with case studies. So when I'm giving testimonials, I mean, what am I really doing? I'm outlining they have a problem, or else I wouldn't be emailing them, and I'm showing them again. I'm using the promise thing as well, and then I follow that up with case studies, which is even more of laying out the problem and the promise. And then when the user-friendly offer for me, I use more of like a mafia approach. I'm like, listen, one of them's going to get it, and it might be you, but we're meeting on Tuesday at 2:00. And if it ain't you, it's going to be one of these other people, and we're going to put somebody out of business. So,
right. Yeah. We're going to pitch one client or one competitor against the other and use that, the loss, instead of the gain, use the loss is what I've had a lot of success with. Like, we're going to give Joe's Pizza 20 extra takeout orders a day, and they're not going to call you, and you guys both service the same neighborhood. So what's it going to be?
Right. One of the things that I like to say too, you guys might want to write this down or whatever, record it on your phone or something. But one of the things that I like to say is this takes a lot of skill. You have to say it the right way. But I always say to people, like, randomly, you have friends in the industry, right? Yeah, I have other people that are lawyers or whatever. So let me ask you this. If 2 or 3 of them lost their job and their firms went under, would you be upset about that? And I'll cut them off. And that's where the skill comes into play, because they'll start talking and I'll cut them off mid-sentence. And you should never really do that when you're selling stuff, but I do it in this specific instance. They'll be like, well, I've known them for a long time. And I'll cut them off and I'll say, just so you know, just so we're on the same page, we're here to dominate the entire industry. So if you are uncomfortable with putting people out of business, we're not right for each other. What I'm telling him there is someone's going under, someone's getting my services. It might be you, so you may have to deal with some of your friends being a little upset, or it could be your friend. And they might not care as much about you as you care about them. And we're on the phone right now, so you got to make a decision. I don't say all that, but I paint that picture.
Right. You let them come to that conclusion.
Right. Exactly. That's what it is. It's what I call it planting seeds. You plant the seed. If they come to the conclusion themselves, this has been said thousands of times, but if they come to the conclusion themselves, it's much stronger than if you say it.
Yeah, it works the other way around too. When you're teaching someone something and you let them come up with the answer themselves,
that's true.
Ask them the sequence of questions or give them little hints, drop the hints and let them answer that, and that sticks. You know, so both in sales and just service and just dealing with people in general, you know, let them come up with the solution themselves or let them answer the question themselves. And it sticks much, much harder.
Right. You lead them down the path. All right. So I think that's pretty much it with the questions. If you guys have any more, you could shout them out. If not, we could end it there, going on 3 hours. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun. This was a good one.
We should have a podcast. This is great.
I know. It's a lot. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, so do I.
I like the sales stuff. I hate the providing. I mean, listen, I'm just going to be honest. I don't like doing it. I love selling stuff, but I really don't like fulfilling consulting stuff. That's why I switched to this model, because I don't have to fulfill it anymore, which is great. And it's also a sellable asset, which is helpful when my kid goes to college, because that's going to be expensive.
Yeah, because you're going to need it. Another buddy of mine had told me one day that having a kid in college is like buying a Honda Civic twice or 3 times a year.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, man. It's especially if they're smart. Like I got unlucky. My kid is smart. Like if I had a dumb kid and they went to Suffolk Community College, like whatever, you can pull that off. But like my kid does good in school, so I'm going to have to go with like something that's expensive, and that's when the whole results-based consulting thing will be on the market. If any of you are still around, you can let me know.
I don't know about sending my daughter to Harvard or Yale. Maybe I'll just teach her how to sell.
Yeah. Doctor is very easy, though.
Yeah. Doctors are easy.
That's guaranteed $250 a year. She marries right. She gets another $250 a year, $500. Never have to worry about anything. Fix a couple legs and you're good.
That's right. Just be the organic mechanic. You can do very well. Dentists too. Actually, dentists do really well.
Yeah.
You know.
Psychiatrists is the greatest gig in the world. You see someone 15 minutes, write on prescription. Don't kill anyone this month.
And if you're handy, some of the vocations you can do very, very well with.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Plumbers can make more than lawyers. Kind of depends on what the situation is. If you're having an emergency plumbing service, you can ask for anything. Just please stop the flooding. You know?
That's true. I have a very good friend of mine who's been a painter. He had a painting company for years. And this guy's known me my whole life. And he trusts me with like all the way. I finally got him to switch over from getting an estimate, painting a house, getting an estimate, painting a house, to getting an estimate, hiring a subcontractor, getting an estimate. All he does is sell now. I mean, he always wanted, he's like, oh, I'm a great painter. And he posts his pictures on Facebook and everything else. I'm like, dude, you just got to sell the deal, man. Get someone else to paint it. Selling's where the money's made. And now he finally switched over to doing that, and he triples his income in like 18 months or something. But yeah, those trades, man, you can make a lot of money doing that.
It's true. There's a buddy of mine too who has a sprinkler company. He does sprinkler installs. What do they call irrigation specialists? He corrected me one day. You're a sprinkler guy? No, I'm an irrigation specialist. Right? He was working 12 hours a day from sun up to sunset or whatever it was, and he goes, I have so many clients, and I don't know how to do all this. I hired a manager to help me, and I'm under the gun. I can't handle any more work. And I had told him exactly what you said: is hire it out, get someone else. Oh, I don't trust them. I say, but that's not really an issue, because you can find somebody to work with who is trustworthy, and that's just a process.
Right.
But if you wanted to grow, and if you wanted to actually have time to watch your kids grow up, then hire it out. That's how you'll grow. Or franchise, which is more or less hiring it out, except you get paid to hand that system out. And he didn't want to do it. He's very very short-sighted. But hey, that people will do what they want to do. You really can't convince them otherwise, unless they see the opportunity that's presented. And then it's a good parallel for what we're doing now. Is this is an opportunity that's presented to you. It is the only opportunity you'll probably hear today that will work for you. And all you have to really do is take action on the information and training that's presented to you. All you really have to do is study. And it generally starts with just 1 hour a day. Just spend an hour a day going through your training. And once you've gone through the training, you spend that hour a day. Or, hey, if you got more hours, if you got 2-3 hours a day, that's great. Even better, you'll get there faster. But just do an hour a day. It's sort of like a buddy of mine said, hey, I wanted to run. I want to start running every day, exercise, get more healthy. And I just can't build up the motivation to do it. I said, well, you're not doing any action because motivation is not something that comes in a can. It's movement over motivation. So my advice to him was, okay, for the first day, walk to the front door, put on your sneakers, step outside and stretch, then go back inside, take off your sneakers, go watch something on TV for whatever. The next day, do that again, but this time walk to the driveway, come back. Third day, walk to the end of the block, come back. Just keep doing that, and every day take a couple of extra steps, and before you know it, within a couple of months, you're jogging, 2-3 miles a day. You're losing how much weight, you're looking better, feeling better, whatever it is. It's just the little steps that you have to take.
Just get started.
That's right.
It's the hardest step.
It is. It's the biggest one. 3 hours and 1 minute. This is fantastic.
All right, guys. So there's no more questions coming in. So that is all. If you guys need anything else, you can let us know. The replay will be up. I don't know when, so I'm not going to lie to you. Lee will put it up probably today, I would assume. So you guys will get an email when that is available to you. And if you have any questions in the meantime, you can let us know.
Very cool. Any last minute Larrys? Any other questions before we depart for the evening? Yes, David actually just got in under the wire, in before the lock. Will this be recorded and uploaded? And yes, it will. I will email everyone, let them know here's a link for the replay. So if you want to watch it again, because there's a lot of good stuff in here. Even if you just didn't take notes today, you can go through, take notes then. So yeah, you will have the opportunity to go through the replay, David.
All right, guys. So that's it. Thanks for coming. And if you have any questions, let us know.
Very good. All right. Okay. Thank you. Lee, thank you. And I hope to talk to you guys real soon.
Thanks, guys.
Lee, can you take us off live?
Yep.
All right, have a good night, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Take care, guys.